Now, you've said obviously you'll take this CPI in as part of your various decision making, but will it make you think much harder about any cost of living relief potentially fueling inflation, that this budget is not in any way expansionary?
Well, our budget will be designed to take the pressure off cost of living rather than add to it. And that will happen in at least a couple of ways. First of all, we're aiming for a second surplus budget. If that were to occur, and we're not there yet, that would be the first back-to-back surplus in almost 2 decades. And that is an important way that we can continue to put downward pressure on inflation. The second thing is how we design our cost of living help. And what the ABS has said today in the inflation data is that our policies have taken something like 0.5% off inflation to the March quarter. And that's because of the way that we design that cost of living help. To take the edge off inflation rather than add to it in important areas like electricity and rent and early childhood education. And what that tells us is, of course, it matters how much you spend in budgets, but it also matters the design of that investment, the quality of that investment and the timing of that investment. And what we'll do in the budget in May is we'll maintain a primary focus on inflation and the cost of living, but not a sole focus. We also have this growth challenge in our economy, and our investment over time in the key drivers of growth into the future will be about recognising we've got an inflation challenge in the here and now. We've also got a growth challenge unfolding before us, and the budget will be attentive to both.
Obviously, around the future of rates, there's politics that has to be factored in from government and opposition perspective. But for the RBA, looking at the economy, is it better for them to move sooner rather than later if they have to when it comes to smashing inflation finally?
Well, the Independent Reserve Bank is not focused on the politics, and frankly, nor am I. You know, our job as a government is to make the right decisions for the right reasons and to make sure that they are aligned with the economic cycle and not with the political cycle. That is our job, and I'm sure if you asked the Reserve Bank Governor, she would have a similar view about her own job. We recognise that these interest rate rises, which began before the last election and continued after, have put really substantial pressure on people right around the country, and they've slowed our economy. We saw that in the December national accounts with consumption flat and growth flat in our economy, and that's what happens when you have these rate rises in the system, and they are still playing out. I won't be giving free advice to the Independent Reserve Bank. It will meet the week before the budget. It will weigh up all of the considerations in our economy, inflation, growth, consumption, and what's happening around the world, and they'll come to a decision independently. When it comes to what's happening in the world, Kieran, it's also important to remember that headline annual inflation actually ticked up in the US and Canada in the course of the last week or two. It's coming down in Australia. We want it to come down further and faster, but what's happening in Australia has bucked the recent trend that we've seen in North America.
Treasurer Jim Chalmers, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Kieran.